Let's start with some meditation. So find a comfortable position with your spine relatively straight. I say relatively because I have scoliosis. It's kind of this curve, but it's more about the energetic flow in the body. So whether you're sitting or lying down, to have the spine straight, the knees bent a bit, and just relax. And we always want to establish mindfulness here right at the beginning and notice what that means to you. When you're ready, bring your attention to your breathing. And just notice how soft attention on your breath helps the body to begin to relax. See if you can feel the muscles in your face relax. And invite the shoulders to relax. And you can use your breath for this, breathing in fresh oxygen. And as you breathe out, let go of whatever toxins there are and let the body relax a little bit more on each out breath. So whether we have experience with the Buddhist teachings on mindfulness of in and out breathing, or we don't have any experience with it, we can just notice that in the beginning, we can bring attention to our breathing and the body, letting the body relax and experience the feeling of that, how it feels for the body to be comfortable, let go of any tension that's being held in the shoulders or in the belly, in the legs or the hands, and just anywhere in the body, just letting that out breath be an opportunity to really settle and let go. In fact, on the next out breath, just letting go of anything that doesn't serve you, the body and the mind. Just being present here and now in this moment. The next few breaths, each time, let go a little more of anything that's residual in the mind. Just be here in this moment without any concerns about the future, without any hanging on of the past. There's nothing else to do right now but be here, present, and relaxed. Be happy. See if we can bring in some inspiration to the heart, uplift, an appreciation for the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha of awakened beings, the Sangha that we surround ourselves with, good friends. Kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. All slightly different facets or faces to unconditional love. Maybe this is a good opportunity for rest, resting the mind, resting the body, but at the same time, we're alert and present with sharp mindfulness, awareness. And we open up our mind, our heart to the Dhamma, open it to the training, allowing the Dhamma to infuse us and guide us. bringing into our path, into our experience, whatever it is that we need for awakening. Or maybe a better way to say it is that with whatever comes into our path, opening ourselves to using it for awakening. As so many here are doing. And that awakening is here and now. It's immediate. It's timeless. It happens through our direct experience. To be known by each of us individually. Opening up to that, letting go of our fixed views, letting go of our past, letting go of our conditioning, allowing the Dhamma to change us. And infuse us with the joy of knowing. The joy of letting go. The joy of seeing clearly the truth of the way things are. And even if we are surrounded by chaos and danger, it's the world. And we have a Dhamma. When we let go of clinging to the material experience, then we can see it for what it is. And our kindness and compassion naturally blossoms. And our joy in goodness and our equanimity, our stability, our confidence grows, is established. Is firm. And we want to end our meditation with gratitude. Gratitude for the Buddha revealing these amazing teachings, this experience of his own, and the encouragement to experience it for ourselves. Gratitude for the Dhamma itself. All of those who have passed down these teachings and all of those who have awakened. And for each other, all of us together, practicing well. This is such a gift. Such a beautiful gift. So lately we've been talking a lot about training, instructions from the Buddha. And by the way, if there's anyone who hasn't received their instructions for 2025 and you'd like to, I have them here. I can pick one for you. And let me know later. I talked about receiving feedback recently, and I was thinking about how important it is to really open ourselves, not just to that feedback that we get from people, but also the training itself. When we make that intention that I want to know the Dhamma and I want to be trained, even if I have to let go of my most precious views and opinions or really change my life, I want it. I want to know the Dhamma. If we open ourselves up to that, that's our intention. And we can start to notice that the Dhamma teaches us in so many ways, so many, and some people have been mentioning it this morning, so many things that come into our life to show us what we need to reflect on, to show us how to change the way we think and act and speak. And it's amazing, I find, that the training isn't just, like one, listening to a one teacher or any number of teachers, or living in a monastery and following the training in that monastery. It's much bigger than that. It's like once we open ourselves up to it and we invite it and we're circumspect about how to receive what we're experiencing, and we have the Dhamma teaching available to us so we know what's really Dhamma, what's not Dhamma. Have people that are more experienced than we are in our sphere that we can ask questions of and really investigate for ourselves. And then to recognize that the lessons, the, the wisdom comes through to us. And it happens in so many interesting ways. And of course, whether or not we learn, whether or not we change, it's up to us. It's up to us to really take it in and make use of it. And one of the things that, one of the pitfalls, I think, like even following, like, okay, I'm a forest nun, I follow basically the Thai forest tradition, and most of my teachers were disciples of Ajahn Chah, and there's such a strong adherence to the Vinaya, which is beautiful and trustworthy in so many ways, and a strong reverence for the Dhamma as it comes out down in the early Buddhist texts. And there's always in this world, in this samsaric experience, some pitfalls, right? So one of the pitfalls is to become dogmatic about it. One of the pitfalls we see in the holy life sometimes is, picking up the Vinaya in a way that you think then you're better than some other monastics who don't practice the same way you do. And that's a pitfall, to get rigid, to form views and attachments around whatever it is. Even the early Buddhist texts, like, I think it would be a mistake for me to take in what's in the suttas exactly verbatim and believe every word of it, because there are some things that have gotten in there over time that just don't match. So we become very fundamentalist about it, we miss the point. We start to, the ego wants to appropriate everything. The highest, best intentions can, just become in service of the ego, and you start to identify with it and think you're somebody or something, right? So this is where we have to be careful and really continue to humbly observe ourselves, our minds, and what they're doing, so that we can really be open and ready, available to the teaching, to the Dhamma, teaching with a capital T. And we know when we are, and when we're taking it in, and when we're using it in a good way, because the suffering decreases, even in the face of incredible challenge. So we can tell if we're on the right track. And even as I say that, we have to be ready for certain periods of time that are extra hard, because that happens too. No matter, how long you've been practicing, things can come up, and you start to, we have to have that patient endurance to work with it. And hopefully we see that gradually over time, with practice, and with that openness and with that readiness to accept and to learn and to change, that we see that it's not as hard as it would have been before, in terms of our ability to accept and adjust and learn and develop in the Dhamma, developing our character, developing our habits, letting go of the clinging to self and all of those things that we have such a strong tendency to acquire. And then the other indicator, of course, is there's more joy in our life. There's more gratitude. And and so when we open ourselves to the training, we also open ourselves to receiving and to giving. We open ourselves to generosity, to giving to others, to giving of our time. We don't have the as much of a tendency to grasp and hold on to things for ourselves. And you've probably heard me say this before. It's something Ajahn Brahmali pointed out, that the Buddha used the same words when he describes someone who's generous as when he describes someone who's awakened, fully awakened. It's pretty amazing. The kind of letting go, the kind of giving. It's a process. It's an aspect of Dhamma that follows us through the entire path. This letting go, this renouncing, this releasing. And so opening to the training, opening to receiving, opening to being generous, opening to love, really. Metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. When I was listening to Ayya Ahimsa's talk on mudita, which I liked very much, and I recommend it, she said that all the Brahma Viharas are really different aspects of love. I mean, think about it, loving kindness, unconditional love, kindness without attachment, and then compassion, another aspect of love. The way I usually have been talking about it is that metta underlies or comes along with all of the other three. But I liked her way of framing it. It's really just different facets of love that are appropriate for the situation at hand. And can you think about equanimity as a kind of love? Being able to be present with the unpleasant, being able to be present with the unwholesome and see it for what it is, but without the aversion, without the hatred, without the animosity, and without the self-righteousness, but just wisdom and metta. And the others, karuna, compassion, and mudita, the joy of what's good and seeing the good coming through others and ourselves and situations we find ourselves in. And it's got that quality of love. So this is how it is when we open ourselves. It's a two-way street, many-way street. I don't know. To be ready to receive the wisdom of the Dhamma, the correction, not just from the people around us and our teachers, but also just from our circumstances. And be ready to see that when we are open to it, then we can use whatever's at hand to help us align more fully with Dhamma, letting go of the sense of self as our fundamental basis for life, but instead using the Dhamma as our basis for life. And really just seeing that opening to the training in that way, and opening to generosity, and opening to these beautiful facets of spiritual love. So that was my reflection for the last little while, and I wanted to share it. And I think we see those things in action around us. Certainly this morning as people are sharing. And we will see them if we are open. If we have our eyes open, we can see that around us. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Or requests for your instructions from the Buddha? If you're not aware of this is those quotes from the Buddha where he said, this is the way you should train yourself. You put them on little pieces of paper and pick one out. People have often found that really helpful. Yes, Holly.
Your comments about, I've always liked seeing the Brahma Viharas as four facets of lovingness. And your comment about equanimity and some of the comments that some of the other people here made about equanimity and the things that they shared. I'm just thinking about how for me, equanimity, when I have a more equanimous stance in my life, I can sit with people who are dying and not be afraid. I can sit with my own aging process when things come up and be less afraid. And I can listen better to people who are stressed and suffering. So that equanimity really wraps it all up in a lot of ways for me.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. James?
I've been reflecting a bit more recently about how there's certain aspects of the path that you seems like you need to work on, and other part aspects seem to sort of blossom naturally. You know what I mean? Like I used to think that I was rubbish at metta because I wasn't particularly good at sitting and doing the conventional sending love out in all directions. And then I realized that a natural sense of it was arising just as a consequence of the meditation and practice. And I've got a little Dharma chat group I attend with a couple of people, and the next subject is renunciation. And it's easy to conceive that as being sort of a self-imposed discipline. I'll do this, I will not do that, because it's not allowed or it's not Dharma. And yet for me, I found that I've sort of given things up as a sort of a natural part of the path. It's just I just sort of naturally lost interest. So I don't know whether that's sort of a comment or question or what, but it's yeah, it's just something. Also, may I have an instruction, please?
Oh, yes, you may. I'm going to toss them into the bell here so I can really shuffle them around. So here we are. Let's see what James gets this time. Here we go. Well, it's very short. I will dwell diligently. I will dwell diligently. Samyutta Nikaya 21, number 1. The book 20 and the number 1. I will dwell diligently. So, well, yeah. Take a look at the sutta and see what you think.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know what you mean, and it's such a gift. I remember it was before I came in contact with the Dhamma, and some of you have heard me talk about this before, but as I was practicing in the yoga tradition, a lot of meditation, a lot of service, a lot of focus on virtue. And it's really roughly the same as what the Buddha is teaching, but they didn't have, there's no precept against drinking alcohol and drugs, even though obviously it's a problem. If you, I'm so glad that Buddha included it specifically. Yeah. But there came a point where, just energetically, I didn't want to have that glass of wine with dinner when I was, out eating with my friend who always would have a glass of wine, and we used to do that together. And then, I just was like, no, I'm going to pass, because I could tell just by being mindful and present that it wasn't what I wanted in my system. And this friend turned to me and said, does this mean you're never going to have a glass of wine with me again? And I said, I don't know. I just know that it doesn't feel like the right thing right now. It was the last time. I mean, it was never again, but it's like until now, and it's not going to happen. I can guarantee you. It's so I can really resonate with that, and I think most of us have seen that kind of thing in our practice where something just comes up. Some situation arises that in the past you would have had a very different reaction, and then there it is. There's maybe compassion or equanimity instead of aversion or dredging up the regrettable situations of the past or whatever. So yeah, it's great. The Dhamma works on us. It's like we have to want to train, but then it has its alchemy. And well, insight doesn't arise because we say, today I want to be a stream enterer. It's like, it doesn't happen like that. It's like, this is what comes when somehow the causes and conditions align. And we keep putting the causes and conditions in bit by bit by practicing and being aware and dwelling diligently, dwelling heedfully. Just coming back to that in a way that's soft enough to be able to take it in and strong enough to keep it consistent.
Thank you, Ayya.
Yeah, thank you, James. Neil?
Yes, I would also like an instruction, please.
Oh, okay. We do this every year at New Year's. It's a thing. Okay.
And also, Julie requested in the chat.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for checking the chat because, okay, this one is for Neil. So you should train like this, said the Buddha. I shall have peaceful faculties and a peaceful mind. That's how you should train. When your faculties and mind are peaceful, your acts of body, speech, and mind will be peaceful, thinking, I shall present the gift of peace to my spiritual companions. And that is, and it ends with, that's how you should train. And this is from Anguttara Nikaya 2, number 36. And I'm going to read it one more time. So you should train like this. I shall have peaceful faculties and a peaceful mind. That's how you should train. When your faculties and mind are peaceful, your acts of body, speech, and mind will be peaceful, thinking, I shall present the gift of peace to my spiritual companions.
To me, that sounds like yet another definition of equanimity.
It sure does, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Sadhu.
But also investigate. Notice how the words affect you if you use peacefulness or if you use equanimity. Because it's like tuning in to how these words, these concepts affect us is useful. And Julie, this one's for you. Okay. Okay, Julie. It says, it's got in parentheses that this is to householders. So you should train like this. How can we, from time to time, enter and dwell in the rapture of seclusion? That's how you should train. Anguttara Nikaya 5, 176. Somebody
you.
putting this in the chat, by the way. Yep. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So you should train like this. How can we from time to time enter and dwell in the rapture of seclusion? That's how you should train. So, taking the time to have time to yourself and really meditate with enough spaciousness, enough depth, enough happiness, and enough relaxation in the body and mind that piti arises, that there's that joy, and really abiding in that.
Thank you.
Time. Says Mira.
I would also love one.
Okay. There we go. Okay, Mira. Okay. I will be one who possesses the virtues dear to the noble ones, unbroken, untorn, unblemished, unmottled, freeing, praised by the wise, ungrasped, leading to stillness of mind. Samyutta Nikaya 55:3. And this is one of the marks of the stream enter, Sotapanna. I will be one who possesses the virtues dear to the noble ones, unbroken, untorn, unblemished, unmottled, freeing, praised by the wise, ungrasped, leading to stillness of mind. Samyutta Nikaya 55:3.
Will you bring that?
I will.
Thank you.
I will. Okay, friends. It's about that time.